Hi, welcome to this episode of Oracle EPM Cloud Today. I'm your host, Catherine Gestry. Today's guest is Rich Wilkie, Vice President of EPM Product Management. Rich will be talking with us today about the 4 must-have attributes of a financial close solution. We'll talk about flexibility, depth and breadth, why being owned and maintained by finance is important, and we'll talk about emerging technology and what makes EPM Cloud unique. Stay tuned for all that and more on EPM Cloud Today. Hi, I'm Catherine Gestry. Welcome to Oracle EPM Cloud Today. Hi, Rich. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Thank you. All right, before we delve into the close area, what is one thing you think every vendor should offer?
You know, it's an interesting question because I think there's a lot of people who sort of say they're an EPM, but the reality is that they do little pieces of an overall EPM process. So you'll have an account reconciliation vendor or someone who just does consolidation, but you really want a true comprehensive EPM cloud solution. You want something that does everything that your business requires, because truly an integrated solution, an integrated platform is really going to give you the best bang for your buck, easiest to implement, understand for your users, and give you the best connected results.
Okay, well, let's talk now about the 4 must-have attributes of a financial close solution. First off, flexibility, I know, is critical in a financial close solution. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, Catherine, before I worked at Oracle way back in the day when I was much younger, I actually worked in an accounting department and I participated in the financial close. And you know, one of the things that you realize is there's just so much chaos that happens. There's so many change. There's business change, reporting changes, different requirements from different management, and really to be flexible, a system that's flexible to accommodate change, not just today, but forecast change, predictable, do change next month and 6 months, and handle that effortlessly is really important, because if you can't manage that change process, you're not really getting the value out of what you're doing with the software.
So how does EPM Cloud address this flexibility?
You know, I think inherently that's built into the tool. We have change from a data integration standpoint. We have easy change from a usability standpoint, where administrators can quickly accommodate different roll-ups for maybe reporting structures or different account changes, or even introducing new functionality. We have a lot of functionality which is available to be used, but might not necessarily be deployed until you need it. So you might make an acquisition in one period and all of a sudden have to deal with calculations of minority interest. You can just turn on that calculation and instantly get those results without having to hire a consultant to go through that process.
All right, great. Thanks for explaining that. Now let's talk about the depth and breadth. So how does EPM Cloud address the depth and breadth?
Well, I think one of the things that we're really proud of is the fact that we not only do, say, account reconciliations incredibly well with deep, rich, pre-built functionality, but we also have consolidation functionality that does, deep and rich functionality there, or tax, right? Because you can't close your books without the calculation of your tax provision. So what we do is we actually deliver modules or capability for all of that. We don't deliver a starter kit that a consultant can come in and spend 6 months augmenting. We really deliver that deep functionality. So I say it's important to understand, is the functionality deep, or is the functionality paper thin with with the consulting budget really supporting it underneath? I'd rather have that deep functionality, because I think that's really where you get the bang for the buck.
It does sound like EPM Cloud offers both, though, the depth within each category and the breadth.
I think that's what makes us unique, right? Is that we obviously go wide. We have tax, we have account recs, we have all these different planning modules. We have consolidation functionality. We have close functionality to monitor the overall close process. No one else really has that. But each of those modules actually goes very deep in what it does. Other people will say that they have that capability, but the reality is it's really just a starter kit that a consultant then has to come in and build out. That's not really an ideal solution in my book.
So tell me about, why is it important for a financial close solution to be owned and maintained by finance?
Well, I think, the reality is finance is the team that's getting the results. They're the ones who are responsible for producing these results. And the last thing you want to do is have to call up someone in another department, maybe log a request and wait for them to react. You want to be able to own your system, make your changes, at the time and the pace that you need. This is not one of those 8 to 5 jobs where you're in the middle of this task. You could be working at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Do you want to call an IT person who might be at home on call and ask them to do something? Or do you want to be able to do it yourself? I think it's absolutely critical for the team that is responsible for the results to own those results and manage everything themselves.
So with EPM Cloud, that's how it works? Is it
always been that way? That is actually the number one thing. I've done this job for 20 years, and the most important thing for us is that end users can own the process, that the finance administrator can be the person who owns and does everything. The last thing we want to do is offshore work to someone else in a different department and be on their schedule.
There is so much new technology out there. So what can you tell me about emerging technology and what makes it unique with EPM Cloud?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of buzzwords right now, and you can say blockchain and machine learning and artificial intelligence and Google and Siri and Alexa and all those good things. And the reality is, as I always say, those are great if they're put to use for you and they help you get better at your job. They give you better results. They make you more efficient. So what we do is we really focus on a couple areas. Like machine learning is a classic example. The financial closes are predictable. It's a monthly, quarterly, annual process. It's repeatable. So as you do common tasks, machine learning can figure out the way you address those, and we can build into the software so those get done automatically for you. So if you're doing transaction matching and the way you match your transactions that weren't matched, the way you manually match them, the software can learn from that and apply those algorithms so that later those will automatically be matched. That's an efficiency for you, and that makes you better at your job. Another example is really the use of automation. We call it intelligent process automation, or IPA. In the close, you oftentimes have a lot of connected processes. I'm waiting for the ledger to finish. I'm going to extract my trial balance. I'm going to load that into the system and do some mappings to it and then consolidate. But why do I need a user to do any of that? I really don't. The software can monitor the ledger. When it's done, it can automatically extract the data, load that data, map that data, consolidate, and only notify you of exceptions, right? So if everything works fine, all you do is you'll get notified that the process is done, but you won't have to be involved in it. And I think that's a critical way to make the close faster. And everybody wants to get their close done quicker.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a way just to help customers work faster, close faster, and with more accuracy.
Time is money. That's what they say, and it's true, right? So time is money. If you can get done faster, transparency. Everybody wants to have a transparent process so you can really see. And efficiency, and that's really what all that gives you. If technology can help you in those areas, that's a perfect use for it.
Great. So before we close, can you give one piece of advice to someone who might be embarking on this journey?
You know, I think we covered a lot today. I clearly had fun. Hopefully everyone else did. But I think the most important thing is remember those key points I talked about earlier. Finance owned. You really want a system where the users control it and the users maintain it. Not everyone else does that. You want a system that's flexible, right? Change happens all the time. Be able to react to that change, be able to accommodate that change and embrace that change. That will make you successful. And depth and breadth. There are a lot of solutions out there that talk about doing things, but the reality is they're starter kits designed for consultants. Look for something that will deliver you those best practices based on the 30, 40 years of experience in the field, not someone who's been around for 5 years or 4 years or 3 months even. I think if you focus on those key areas, you'll be successful in your project. And I think a successful project will pay certain dividends for your organization. And that's really what's important here.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rich.
Great. Thanks a lot. It was fun.
And thank you for watching. I hope you'll tune in next time for the next episode of EPM Cloud Today.